You're tuned into Black Hollywood Live, the world's first digital broadcast network devoted entirely to urban entertainment and pop culture. Tune in right now.
Welcome, Black Hollywood Live viewers. You are watching BLM Community More Than Just a Hashtag, a show where we talk race and inequality in America. Today I'm joined by my lovely friends. I got Kaya Unique, licensed cosmetologist and editor of Afro Vegan Beauty. We got model and creator of Soul Sessions, Obigali Aku Anisonwu. And we also have two-time Emmy winner, Jackie Fernandez. Hopefully I didn't butcher your last name, Obigali Aku, but bear with me. I'm so glad to be joined by all of you to have this conversation. Unfortunately, it's not, the best reason to be joined together, but it's just good to have other people to talk to about some of these issues. First and foremost, I want to ask all of you, how are you guys doing? We'll start with you, Kara Unique.
I'm trying to find an adjective that is authentic, but also not redundant, because I think everybody's really hurt right now. Everybody's really emotional right now. So I'd like to change my narrative of the day and say that I'm doing well because I'm grateful. But I'm hot. I'm tight right now. I'm real tight. That's a new adjective.
Obigali, how are you doing?
I said this earlier as we were kind of gearing up for this, that I don't know, not in that I don't know, but I don't know. There's so many emotions that are going through, and I think I sit in a different one every second. That it's all the emotions, all the negative emotions rolled into one. So.
And Jackie?
I think I vacillate between all these different feelings, but I think the main one right now is anger. I'm angry, I'm enraged, and I see a lot of complacency in a lot of different people's reactions, and that makes me even more enraged. And it's tough because I'm so angry at one point, and then another part of me feels like really grateful that so many who have been silent are speaking out and advocating for Black lives and things like that. And I'm like, that's so great. And then there's so many that I go, why aren't they speaking out? And I think it's a part of me that wants everyone to use their platform and everyone to realize that we are so much stronger together and that enough is enough. And I feel like we're at this point in society where we're at this turning point where we can actually make a change. And I don't know if that's naive or something to believe, but I really believe I've never felt it this way before.
Yeah, I totally resonate with that sentiment, where I'm seeing so many people speak that aren't Black, and they're just speaking in a way that I haven't heard them or anyone speak like that before. So I'm hopeful, but did every generation feel this? And were they just as hopeful then to only meet, this reality? What do you guys think about whether or not this is that turning point, or is this just like a Rodney King? Are these riots that don't lead to actual change and just sort of let us blow off some steam for a while? Carrie, we'll start with you.
I like to say that we've been agitated for so long about the same thing. And now with social media and all the accessible resources that we have, I'm really hoping that, us talking about the Black dollar and moving our money will actually start to happen, because that's the only way that we're going to be able to affect any real change right now. So I'm hopeful that this will be hopefully our last dance. I really hope that it is.
Yeah, Jackie, how about yourself?
I feel like this time it's different. I totally understand what you're saying when it comes to Rodney King and things like that. Rodney King happened, there were riots, especially allocated into one neighborhood specifically, and there was no systematic change, right? No real microscopic look into police reform and what that means. Now, with social media exacerbating this, we're seeing different changes. We're so close to the next election, and I'm hoping within 6 months that this same momentum of people out on the streets will get their butts to the polls, right? And I think a lot of people, when other riots like the LA riots happened in the 90s, it was like, what is the answer here? And I
Yeah.
feel it's more defined now. The answer is we need actual police reform. There needs to be some actual screenings, mental health screenings, checks, background checks for these people to be policing Black and brown bodies. One period. And I think there's such a different shift in tone that COVID-19 really, again, heightened. For example, the Asian American community has been overwhelmingly a silent community, right? Scared to speak out on race, pigeonholed into the model minority, pitting Asians and Blacks against each other, Asians believing that they had some sort of false sense of superiority because they were white adjacent, when that is not true. It's a false sense of superiority. And we saw that just crumble, that whole belief system, with the rise of hate crimes against our community after COVID-19. And we're still in it.
Mhm.
And so the amount of rage from my community, I went, you cannot be angry at that and not be angry at the video about George Floyd. And this goes back decades, generations, and educating our elders. Like for me, taking it upon myself to educate my peers and my elders, I'm like, this is why Black Lives Matter. This is what that means. And this whole Asians versus Black that we've seen for so long, that is a tactic to diminish both of our power, because knowing if we united, change could happen. And I feel like we're at this tidal wave where that could happen. And I'm hopeful that this is what all of it's resulting in.
Yes. And Obi-Galiaku, are you hopeful? And when we talk about how angry we all are, I know you are so instrumental in using our creativity as an outlet for that. And I want to talk to you about how mentally to use that to kind of deal with this time.
So I call myself a light worker, and fellow light workers, people who are spiritually conscious and definitely geared towards pushing out the positive mindset in any situation. We've been talking about this shift in consciousness and the awareness and unplugging from the matrix. And so before, the quarantine and COVID happened, there was already a rise in that. And then when we're seated and having only the opportunity, the choice, only the chance to sit down and talk to each other about this, and to really see that all these things that were simple, all these things that were people took for granted are more powerful, and that we do have an opportunity to shift and change. So you have that already rising, coupled with the realization of voting power, of us going through this before, and how we really need to change this, because has gotten to such a crazy height. It's as if you push someone over the edge, brought them back up, push them over again, dangled them over the edge, and then and that insanity is what's gripping our existence and our conscious. So I feel, since we have that realization and we already have the rise of consciousness, put that together, we are prepared for this not to happen again. We are prepared for at least this version to be the most effective, because there are going to be different variations of this. This is not like the end all be all situation or whatever we do answer, because our children's and our children's children's are going to have their versions. We need to lighten it more, because humans are humans, right? So we're not perfect. We're going to make some kind of mistake. This kind of mistake that's happening cannot happen. This is such an enormity that I think we all realize that, and that we're going to make the proper moves to situate it, to dissolve. We can't have humans killing other humans. We can't have miscommunication. We can't put the wrong person again into a complete powerful seat and think that things will change. So I am hopeful, and some fellow light workers are very knowledgeable and very, very more working towards that, than to have people feel despaired or to have people think that we don't have opportunity or a chance.
Yeah, and I love that you posted something similar to that, Carrie, Nick, in terms of let's look for solutions and not, be posting these sort of posts that really get people more into anger, more out of themselves, and look for ways to sit within yourself and actually work towards solutions. Tell me a little bit more about that.
Well, I personally was triggered today. I follow a friend of mine. She's also an entrepreneur. and she's a mother, and she posted a Black man with his daughter on his shoulders, and they both have their, you know, their face mask on, and they're standing in front of the police, and one of the police officers has a gun. And it looks like, because you know photos and angles can get tricky, but it looked like the gun was towards the little girl on his shoulder. And it shook me in a way that the other content hasn't really shaken me, because I won't watch anything till the end. As soon as I get the first 5-10 seconds, I'm like, all right, I'm out, because I can't keep having these deposits of negative imagery, because it's not going to help me do stuff like this. I'm just going to tap out. So it just really frustrated me this time, because she's a mother. And you know, if that happened with your child, you would not want that to be shared and liked and mentioned and commented on. Like, it's just not, it seemed really inappropriate, especially from a mother. It just blew my mind. And I said something today, and I usually don't say anything because I believe that everybody has their platform. They can say what they want to say. But this irritated me, because I was like, this isn't helping, sis. We got to stop doing this. What is your intention with posting that? What do you want from us when we see that? And I think a lot of people in this time of high emotion are just really reactive. We want to tell people what's going on, but we're not being really mindful of who's absorbing what we're saying. Call a friend, call family, commiserate together, come up with a plan together. But going online and continuing to post murders in the street and people getting hit with the rubber bullets, and it's just so graphic. I'm surprised that Instagram is even allowing some of the shit that I've, you know, swerved.
Yeah, well, sometimes they put the sensitive thing, but that's only like a third of the time. And so, yeah, I don't know how that's not equal across the board.
But they quick to come and get me for my music. Yeah. I'm like, y'all worried about the wrong shit. We got brains and shit online for people to see at 6 a.m. in the morning. Because, you know, we get up and we go right to our phones and we see all of this stuff. Like, no one's regulating it. So I think that people, content creators especially, with any kind of following, we just have to be more mindful about what our intention is behind the post. The intention to scare people because we're terrified. You don't have to do that anymore.
Yeah.
We need people that are going to influence some change.
Yeah, and speaking about that, May was Mental Health Awareness Month. What have you guys been doing to kind of like check in for your mental health? I mean, for me, it's just sort of kind of sitting with my emotions and not being as reactive, trying to just take it all in. But do you guys have strategies for taking care of your mental health to be more effective as an activist going forward?
You know, talking about mental health is something that's very stigmatized in communities of color. It's seen as very much a weakness. And I know that for sure, especially like in my family. However, I'm very much an outspoken advocate of getting mental health services. And I really believe to my core that the most courageous people are the ones who admit that they need therapy. So I've been seeing, it's funny, I started going back to therapy. I did it a lot for several years when I was a news anchor. And then I started up again right before quarantine hit. And I thank God that I did, because I go, what fortuitous timing, right?
Oh, yeah.
To be able to find a therapist, which is very difficult, and then continue to build a relationship with this therapist over Skype and stuff. Yeah. And so for me, that has been one thing that's really helped a lot, being able to speak to someone who is a trained professional and just have that 1 hour be completely about yourself. Because a lot of people, I think they say, I can just talk to my friend about it. It's like, it's kind of different, this back and forth. When you're with a therapist, that's a trained professional who can help you process your feelings and help you understand why you react in these certain ways. So for me, it's therapy.
Yeah, I think that's huge, because I think a lot of people are going to come out of these 2 years, pandemic, racism, and needing to talk to someone who is a professional. Obi Galiaka, what do you do?
Well, I wanted to also talk to the effect of posting things real quick, that I choose to post, again, light worker, positive minded, and wanted to put that out there. I choose to put my soul sessions. You know, some people with the soul sessions experience that I had yesterday were like, oh, I can't believe you're doing that instead of doing this. First of all, I don't like to be told what to do and what not to do with my
that part.
with my own spirit, right? So I said, no, if there's this high volume of negativity, high volume of violence, then what I'm going to do is try and find a balance and push out the positivity. And music is so healing, and anything and everything, music is everlasting. And when there was a civil war in my country, war songs were sung when you couldn't reach, but you could hear, and that could push out positivity. African Americans in slavery here, they sang, on the plantations when they couldn't be close to each other, or these spirituals that help motivate them. So that is my version in the modern day with soul sessions. And that's my therapy that I'd like to push out for others. Like, here, come together in this community of like-minded people that are feeling the same way, feeling frustrated. And then now we have each other to talk to. Me, I have, a therapist friend. So she does differentiate between being a friend and a therapist. And I talk to her. And I also have a resident healer for soul sessions to start off my experience to my viewers and audience and get them in the place of like, this is kind of like the path that we're going to go on. And this is the vibe that I want to set you on. And then she speaks to me because, I am soul session. So I have to be in a certain kind of feeling, way, vibe, and mindset before I can speak to the people that come in and garner therapy from, my experience. So
I love that it's so necessary because the first 24 hours, I almost felt guilty for not watching the sensational stuff. But by hour 72, I was like, I need to see something that's not this for me to retain my sanity. So I think we need those beautiful moments of inspiration that are not the sensationalism that we're seeing too.
Yeah. Yeah.
My homegirl did the same thing today. She sent me some hair that was really beautiful. And she was like, she apologized before she sent it to me. She was like, I know that everything's going on right now, but girl, this is cute. And I'm like, why are you feeling bad for sending me something good? Like, thank you for making me smile today. I had to like let her know, don't apologize for that shit. Like,
yeah,
we need to balance it out.
Yeah.
Yeah. What are you doing for your mental health, Kearney?
I fell off meditation. I went on right before quarantine, I did my quarterly cleanse, or the juice cleanse, and I was feeling all centered and all meditated up. And then I went on a 21-day meditation challenge, the chakra. No, am I saying it right?
Chakra, yeah.
Yeah.
If that's what you did.
No, oh no,
Chakra,
Deepak.
like,
Sorry, I was trying to get the name together. The Deepak one, he had the 21 day. He has a 21-day challenge. So I did that. So that was good. But I don't know, this past 2 weeks, my meditation's not strong. I stopped moving my body a couple days ago, like just not working out. Like, it's been increasingly challenging, but I am going home. So I guess that's the answer to your question. I'm going to go to Chicago and hug my mother for her birthday. And I feel like that will take me to a level I can actually fight this shit.
Yeah, this all happened at the worst possible time in terms of we weren't with each other, we were separated from each other and really can't be with one another. Are you guys worried as protesting and we gather about the COVID-19 and about that effect on our communities, which were already being disparately hit by it? So
100%. I think I had to talk my sister out of going to downtown Chicago, where it's insane.
Mm-hmm.
And she's 23. I had to talk her out of going. Damn, I forgot. I got so caught up in my thought. What was the question again?
What was the question again?
Yeah.
Oh, just how are you coping with everything right now?
Oh.
Well, no, you were saying about going out and protesting with COVID.
Oh, COVID-19.
Yeah. Yes.
Oh yeah, because I'm just like, how are these people? It's almost like the pandemic stopped. Now we're all gonna go in packs.
Mm-hmm.
That is not how that works. We're still in a pandemic, people. I just feel like this whole thing is out of control.
Mm-hmm.
It is really out of control. And like my dad works in the ER in LA, and my sister is a nurse in the ER as well. And it's really alarming to me. It's tough because it's like we need these protests, but at the same time, people aren't being safe about it. You can't avoid not being 6 feet away from each other. You're in close proximity. People are yelling, water droplets are everywhere. And I mean, after the protests that have been happening, there was a 1,000 or 10,000 spike increase in COVID cases in LA alone, some exorbitant number like that. And so I'm really nervous to see the brunt of this in 1 week or two from what's happening on the outside, right? And so,
yeah, we already know the outcomes in our community have been so poor when it comes to treatment. So that's really, really worrisome. And then I know, Obi Galiaku, your mom is also a first responder as well.
Yes, my mom's a nurse, and I take her to and from work, and I have the already palpitations I was supposed to be talking to you about, and on taking her to work, let alone now being in the streets with this whole curfew back and forth. And we spoke this morning saying that I hope she was like, I hope we don't have more people in the hospital, because as people come in, there are no more beds. And she's like, how are they, is this thought of COVID just out of the mind now? Because we're out here fighting for our lives, and the thought isn't out, but people are so angered by it that they're like, okay, I'm either going to get killed by COVID or I'm going to get killed by police brutality, and it's just so unfair to have these two, this duality, this horrible duality. Like, do I stay inside and I not go out and fight, especially when there's pressure, or I go out and then I risk my life? The smoke gun hits you, you're taking off your mask, you're coughing, and then imagine everyone around you doing the same thing, and you're in this close proximity, and then you go home and you spread that, and whew, I get goosebumps just thinking about it. And so it's that's where that I don't know of the emotions. So now I'm at that fear, then again I'm at that despair, and then now I'm at anger, and then now I'm at so it's just insanity.
Well, let's talk solutions. I love that, Karen, if you posted, let's support Black businesses, but you did more than that. You posted a list of Black businesses in different sectors. So whether it was banking or media or beauty, can you tell me a little bit about that and that strategy of being a solution that's a solution we're not really thinking about right now?
Well, I struggle with that whole thing of, us not doing this beforehand. I hate that we're still having the conversation like it's new. We should have been buying Black. We should have been circling our money in our communities. We should have been did that. 3 years ago, I decided to turn my entire makeup kit to Black owned and vegan, and I couldn't find many products. Now there's tons of more Black beauty moguls out here, like soon to be moguls, just killing the game. So now my kit is flourishing with all kind of Black owned goods. It's great. Groceries, I go to a supermarket when I can. That's actually in I think it's Leimert Park, and they're over there trying to get Mr. Wisdom's grocery store back up right up the street from Nipsey's old spot. Marathon. So it's just like, we should have been circulating this dollar. This is the way, and it's been the way that we need to fix things for a very long time, because they don't not talk money. Everybody know the money language. We're not doing this the right way. It's the money. If you really want to hurt white people, white supremacy, we have to stop funding it. It doesn't make any sense to make all these posts and then you go to the store and buy something from some white person. It does. What are we doing?
That part.
It's making me upset.
Oyegeliaka, what do you think about as far as solutions go?
I'm really big on fundraising. I want notoriety and monetary gain so that I can fuel my philanthropic ventures. And so I use my platform to garner for small businesses, to garner for nonprofits. And so I try and gather people who can do some portion of that manner for everything that we have so many opportunities to help. And like you said, it's so sad that it takes this much to happen for us to think of something that we should have been doing every day. Some people are like, oh, I can't volunteer because I don't have time. Oh, I can't give money because I don't have money. There are so different avenues of doing better. And so for me, I am going to take soul sessions times something that's coming up for Black Lives Matter, and help to fund bailouts, help to fund lawyers, help to fund food and products for someone, help to fund wood to board up stores that are unfortunately getting looted and getting broken into, just different things that can work out individuals.
And Jackie?
I think for me, like, the solution, there are so many different ways. What you guys have said is totally correct. Supporting Black-owned businesses, donating. I put it all over my social today. day, different organizations that you can donate to. I personally just donated to the Bail Project to help bail out protesters. But I think one of the main things that we can do right now, a really big solution, is education and awareness, self-awareness, right? So I think for so many, especially people outside the Black community who are not Black, it right now is the first step into recognizing and checking your own privilege. And it's a very ugly, hard conversation to have with yourself, right? It's really tough to say, oh, I do have privilege. People run away from these tough conversations on race and tough conversations of admitting that they do have a leg up, right? And because that means that they are responsible and culpable for this horrendous treatment of Black people for so long, right? Just by their complete ignorance and turning a blind eye. So it's funny, we mentioned post, and I completely understand what you're saying. You don't want to see that stuff. But a part of me also feels like I have to force this down people's throats, because I will not allow people who follow me to not look at this video, to not see what's going on. Because me describing to you what happened to George Floyd is very different from you seeing this video and not turning away. And because I need you to experience that visceral disgust and reaction. So you're angry and you know that this could happen to any one of us. And so for me, I really feel like the first step is education, self-awareness, and dialogue with so many people, especially non-Black people.
Go.
Sorry. I just want to piggyback off of that, because I ran into some content from a model that I follow. She is Caucasian woman, beautiful model, plus size. And she was sharing her experience being someone who didn't have any white friends and only Black influence around her. And she just really surprised me with her investment in fighting for us. And so I'm going to go live with her on Wednesday. But just like you said, she's taking accountability and she's using her white privilege to help protect us.
Yeah.
And I really want to expand on the conversation with the people that have the power so that we can make bigger change, because that has to be a part of our resolve, is that white people need to get involved, because they love everything that we have. So every single thing that we have has been stolen. And so you love us. So you need to protect us.
Yeah.
And what I love, what you said, Jackie, is a lot of young people are woke, but I think they're afraid to have that conversation with their parents and afraid to say, listen, I'm not going to stand for your bigotry. So I think that was so important, to have that conversation with your parents you might be afraid to have. As far as solutions for me, I think starts at the top. We got November coming and we got to do some work. So the next episode of this, we will be talking about the administration and how to really politically see some systemic change from the top down. But I just want to thank all of you guys for joining me. This was an amazing first BLM community. You guys are amazing. Kara, Nick, we'll start with you. Where can they find you online?
You guys can find me at Kaori Nick Studios on Instagram. You can also find Afro Vegan Beauty at Afro Vegan Beauty on Instagram, and both of those .com. So KaoriNickStudios.com, AfroVeganBeauty.com.
Nice. Obi Galiaku.
I am VOA, which is IAMTHEOA on Instagram, as well as Soul Sessions Official on Instagram.
Great. And Jackie?
Mine is Jackie Fern on Instagram and on TikTok, and that's where I'm most active, just posting as much as I can, trying to start dialogues with people in my community, especially other first-generation kids, on how to talk to their friends and family about what is going on right now. And I think that's how I feel like I can contribute. You know what I mean?
Yeah, thank you. It's amazing. And guys, you guys find me on Twitter, Instagram, and Snapchat, and now TikTok at Shaka Strong. Thank you guys for joining. We will see you guys Wednesday at 1 p.m.
On behalf of our BHL staff, we would like to thank you for tuning in to Black Hollywood Live, the world's first digital broadcast network devoted entirely to urban entertainment and pop culture. Check out our Black Hollywood Live YouTube page for even more great programming and amazing content. And be sure to subscribe and like our channel when you do. I'm your BHL host, Nakia Monet, and you can find me on all social media at Kiki Boom Boom or at Black Hollywood Live. Black Hollywood Live, Hollywood redefined.